Hey everyone, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we have this 2023 Ford Expedition Max, and we're going to do the front grille chrome delete installation for this vehicle. So as you can see, this is how the front panel looks before doing the installation, and this is how it looks after the installation. So we use the gloss black material, that way we just black out the entire front section of the panel. Link for the product will be provided below. With that being said, let's start with the installation video. So before we start with the installation for the front panel, we need to make sure we prep everything. So to prep it, all you need is water and baby shampoo mixed together in a spray bottle. Once you have your solution, spray it onto a clean microfiber towel and just make sure you remove all the contaminants that the front panel may have. And then make sure once you're done prepping the panel, make sure that everything's dry. That way the adhesive on the film is able to tack down to the grille and it doesn't get damaged and peel off over time. So we're going to start with the piece that covers this section here. So with this section, it is a two-piece installation. What I mean by that is in order to cover the entire grille, we separate it into two pieces. So one piece to cover this whole section on one end, and then the other piece will cover the other section on the other end. So to start off the installation, align this section of the film to where the emblem is located. Align it here. Once we have it aligned, just leave it there for now. Lift the film carefully and just make sure you follow the top section of the body line of the front grille here as the guide in order to align the rest of it. So follow through until you reach it to this side here. And with this one, once you have it follow through here, then the rest should be covered for the top layer here. You should reach up to the top. Make sure you're giving yourself enough material to cover the top section. Lift it carefully to readjust it and you should be good. And if you need to lift the film to readjust it, you can. It'll be easier to just lift it, hold it, and then just start tagging it down with your squeegee. It's important to squeegee at an angle, that way we don't accidentally crease the film. So just go side to side carefully while holding the film. It's pretty simple. And then do the same here. And then for here, since there is a small curve, to remove the fingers or to shrink the fingers, you could apply heat, hold it, and then tack it down with your squeegee. So hold the film, apply a little bit of heat. Make sure you're still holding it, and then with your finger, start tacking it down. And then just to seal the top, apply heat again. And we should be able to shrink those fingers and be able to tack everything down. Use your squeegee and start tacking down the entire film. So it should be flat all across until you reach it here. So then just focus on tacking down the fingers, apply heat too. And then just continue on applying heat throughout the entire panel. And once you reach it here, you could also apply heat just to help the adhesive on the film activate faster. You just need to be careful not to crease the film. So if you need to lift it, hold it, and apply heat, you can. That way you help relieve the tension that it has here and just tack it down more smoothly. And then all this excess material can be removed. We just need to focus on tacking down everything here, and that's pretty much it. And then do the same, applying heat throughout the rest of the panel. Make sure to remove any fingers, and if you need to lift it to readjust it, you can, but just finish off. Make sure to remove all the air and then tack everything down with your heat gun. For the tucking in part here, there is a small gap so you could tuck in the film. That way you're covering the chrome here. And just apply heat. That way we help the adhesive on the film activate faster. And then wherever we have excess material, like for example over there, and a little bit here, you just trim it off if you can't tuck it underneath. Since there's a gap here, you'll be able to tuck in the film. That way there's no chrome showing. So just finish off here and trim off the excess material. Use the small gap that's here. Carefully just pass your blade up to the edge. Remove the extra material we don't need here. And this one could be tucked in on top here. It just depends how you align it first. Okay, and that's pretty much it. And now the same steps that were done here repeat it to the other end, and then once you're done, we move on to the next piece. Okay, so now we're moving on to the piece that covers the lower section of the grill. So with this one, you can start from either this end or the other end. Doesn't really matter, just wherever you start. Make sure you align it from one edge and use the back half of the panel as a guide to align the rest of the film. So make sure you're covering the chrome, follow through. If you need to readjust it, just lift it carefully, align it, cover the chrome, and you should be good. And it should reach up to the edge here. You are going to notice wherever you aligned it, the other half will have just a little bit more excess material. That's perfectly fine. We just gave a little bit more excess in case you needed to rearrange it and align it more. That way you have more coverage on the chrome. So all we need to do now is grab our squeegee, start tacking down the whole panel underneath. Make sure to remove all the air. And the only excess material we will probably need to trim off would be the one on the edge here, and apply heat to see everything, and we should be good. So just apply heat and then trim off the excess material on this end, and then we should be good. Okay, so now we're moving on to this piece here. So with this one, start off by aligning it right on the edge here where the headlight's located. So align the piece that covers there. And the rest of the film should just fall into place. Take your time placing the film. Make sure you're covering the chrome until you reach it to this edge here. You will have just a little bit of excess material. We just gave this just in case you need it. But all you need to do is just tuck in the film as much as you can inside. And then the rest could be trimmed off. But just make sure before you trim off, everything's being covered. So it looks good. Okay. And then just finish off the installation on this side. So tuck in the film underneath carefully. Just be careful not to rip it, and then just align it inside, and it should be good. And this one covers the inside of the grill here. So just help it tack down inside carefully. If you need to lift it to readjust it, you can. And then it's up till you reach it here. Everything's tucked in. You should be good now. Everything's being covered inside. Tuck in here. Since there is a gap, you have more room to work with. Once everything's tacked down, grab a heat gun, apply heat throughout the entire panel. That way we seal this edge here, and then we'll trim off any unnecessary material that we don't need. And then you would just go ahead, look wherever you have excess material and trim it off. So just make sure you don't trim off too much where you might expose the chrome. Make sure you tuck in everything and then just carefully trim off the excess material. Follow the path until you reach it to the other end. And you should be good. It's still covering the chrome. And that's pretty much it. And now once you're done here, you will repeat it to the other end. And then once you're done, move on to the top piece. Okay, so now we're moving on to the bottom piece here. This one, just make sure you, like how we did it with the lower piece for this one, do the same here, but it's much shorter. You have more wiggle room to work with. So align it to the edge here. Make sure you're covering the entire chrome here. Tuck it underneath. It's just more about playing with the film here and making sure you cover everything. And then once you place it, follow through with the rest. Make sure you're covering the chrome. Lift it if you need to readjust it, and it should end right there. Now all we need to do is grab our squeegee, start tacking down the film carefully. Make sure we don't crease it, so just lift it if you need to readjust it, and tack it down and squeegee inside. Make sure to remove all the air, and then apply heat to help the adhesive activate faster and seal the top edges, and then we trim off any excess material. Okay, so now we're moving on to the next piece that covers this top section of the grill. Place the film onto the panel, This one has a curved design, so that means we need to align it where the emblem is located. Align it there, and then all we need to do now is lift the film carefully and just align the rest until we reach it to the other end. So carefully lift the film, adjust it, align it till we reach it to the other end. So take your time when you're doing this. Just make sure you're covering the chrome and you give yourself a little bit of material to cover underneath as well. And that should be good. It should cover up to here. So go ahead and grab your squeegee, start tacking down the entire film, help remove any bubbles. And if you have trouble tacking down some fingers, those fingers can be removed by applying a little bit of heat. Just don't forget to seal the lower section and the top. Once you finish applying heat everywhere, trim off the excess material that we don't need, and we can move on to the next piece. To trim off the excess material on this end, make sure you insert your blade right where the gap is located and just follow the design and trim it off just like that. And everything should just come off like this. Just make sure everything's being covered and you should be good. Just apply heat to seal this edge as well. And then once we finish sealing here, we move on to the next piece. So for this last piece, it's going to be just a little tricky to tack down since it does cover the whole entire panel. Make sure you place the film and it doesn't touch any contaminants, so keep that in mind. And with this one, start by aligning it where the emblem cutout is located. So if you need to lift the film and readjust it, you can. Just leave it here for now and align it right where the emblem covers. So it should go here and the other piece should cover it here. So it should be like this. Don't secure the middle section yet. We need to make sure we finish installing the rest of the film first. So just lift it carefully and just make sure you're covering the entire chrome on this section here. So lift it and adjust it and align it until you reach to the other end. So it should be like that. You would just then grab your squeegee, start tacking this whole section down. That way we make sure everything's being covered. And for this area here, since there is a small curve, we're going to lift it, apply heat, and tack it down slowly. So hold the film, apply heat, and this is to help the film lose the tension it might have. And just use your finger or your squeegee side to side to help it tack down here. Make sure you don't leave any air, and just continue doing this step until you tack everything down. For this part here, just hold the film and help it tuck in underneath. And just continue applying heat to help remove the fingers and the tension the film may have. And it should be like this. Just make sure there's no bubbles and you don't crease it. And that's pretty much it. And just follow through with the rest of the installation here. Apply heat to relieve the tension. And then just use your squeegee to tack everything down. Okay, so just finish off applying heat here and then just tack everything down. So hold it in position and tack it down slowly. Make sure you're covering the chrome just like this. You can tuck in as much as you can, and then any excess material that you do have, you just trim it off. And the same steps that you did on this end, you would just repeat it to the other end. That's why you need to make sure not to tack down the middle first. Work your way one side first, and then work your way in the middle, and then work your way to the other end. So we'll leave this piece for now like this, and then we'll come back and trim it off afterwards. We're just going to need to lift the film just a little bit again. Since we didn't tack everything down on this end, we should be good to lift the film. So just lift it, make sure you align it and adjust it to the design of the chrome. So it should be like this. And it should cover the top section here. So everything's being covered here, so you should be good. But to shrink those fingers, we're going to apply a little bit of heat. That way we don't have any of these fingers when we're tacking everything down. So now it's looking more flatter. Just grab your squeegee and start tacking everything down. So that's why we said in the beginning not to secure this middle section, because you're going to end up coming back. It's more of just starting off aligning it here, working your way from one end. Once one end is secured, now we can move on with the rest of this side. And you could just use the top half as the guide to align the rest of the film, and you should be good. Okay, so before we finish off, make sure you seal everything. So just apply heat to seal all of the edges, and then any excess material that we do have, now we can finally trim it off. So first apply heat throughout the entire panel, seal all the edges, and then trim off. So once you finish with the entire installation for the front grille, the last thing to do is to post heat the entire panel. So you could use the low or the high settings for post heating. Just make sure if you do use the high setting, not to be too close to the film because you might accidentally burn it. So just be a good amount far away, like maybe 4 or 5 inches away. Apply heat through the entire panel evenly. Take your time as you're doing this step, and then once you're done with this process, you're done with the installation. I'm using the lowest just to be safer. Thank you for choosing Bogar Tech Design. As a small business, your support means everything to us. If you loved your product, please drop a review. If you have questions or issues, don't forget to message us via email. Once again, thank you so much for the support from our family to yours. So that concludes the installation video for the front grille chrome delete installation for the 2023 Ford Expedition Max. We hope that the video helped you guys out with the installation. Don't forget to drop a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell. That way you don't miss any of our upcoming installation videos. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one.